Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Follow-Up Friday. I'm getting ready to run a little Zig Ziglar, guys. Zig Ziglar to start us off.
Most people never dare to evaluate really where they are. And you got to know where you are before you can really determine your chances of getting what you really want out of life. If we can reduce stress, and incidentally, the same process that reduces stress is exactly the same process that will enable you to have a long-term balanced career. You know, so many times people say, well, I do this, but man alive, it hurt, it cost too much money, or it take too long, or whatever. I quit smoking, but you know, I gained 47 pounds or whatever, or I go back to college and get my degree. But you know, it'd take me 10 years, and in 10 years, I'd be 45. Well, how old would you be in 10 years if you didn't go back to college and get a degree? But instead of that, what you need to do is you set your goal is identify the benefits. Why do I want to do this? Then you identify the obstacles which you've got to overcome. Did you spell out the skills and knowledge required? Did you identify the people, the groups, and organizations to work with? Did you work out a plan of action? And did you set that date? You see, there's a formula. And the formula and the incentive for the date, you can't set a date on a lot of things. If it's applicable, you do. But for example, when do you finish education? You don't, do you? Now you finish school. You can make it easy, but you never finish your education. When you answer these questions, if you answered any of them with a no, I didn't do that, then what you've got is not a goal. It's still a dream. And that dream has got to have some foundation to it. If you want to build a winning attitude, you need to take time, and this is probably going to surprise you based on what you've heard me say so far, but you need to take time to be quiet. You need to do it at least 4 or 5 times a week. A lot of people say, well, that guy keeps talking about time for this and time for that. I don't have time for all of these things. Let me tell you how you can create an extra 3 hours every day of your life, guaranteed. Over 70% of all of the time spent watching television, you're watching things you have no interest in watching. Let me encourage you to do this. Take a slow, lazy, drifting, absolutely meaningless walk. Just almost go to sleep on the walk. Not an exercise walk, you need to do those too, but a very quiet walk. Pick out a place in your home where you can be absolutely quiet on occasion. If you have to get up 30 minutes earlier, that's wonderful. I don't know why, but I seem to wake up earlier in the winter months than I do in the summer months. And when I get up, it's pitch dark. I have a nice little office. I go in there and I turn on the gas log and I sit there. And every time I do that, without exception, I have the most exciting day of my life. I simply run through my mind the things I'm going to be doing. As you plan the day, as you think of all of the things we've got to be excited about, it really does renew your energy and it gets you excited about the day. Now, let me tell you something. This is going to be one of the toughest things you'll ever do. When you sit down saying, well, I'm going to sit perfectly quiet for 20 or even 30 minutes, you will think of 2,868 reasons or things that you've got to do. You try to decide, do I raise the window or lower it? Do I turn the heat up or down? Do I cut the air conditioner off or do I turn it more full blast? Do I really need to go to the bathroom? Am I going to get me a cup of coffee? What is that noise against the outside? Maybe I better check up on that. Resist the temptation. Spend a few minutes in quiet, reflective thought. It does make a difference. Take time to be quiet. Now, we teach things that are generally not taught in school, as I already have said, but I want to talk about another little factor. 90% of the visits to medical doctors are directly or indirectly related to stress. 90%. My stress level, and I face as many deadlines as anybody you know. It's always a book production, a class I'm teaching, a seminar I'm presenting, and each one of them requires time and concentration. Example, how many of you feel like I've made this talk before? Can I see your hand, please?
several hundred times. I made it yesterday. You know what I did between yesterday and today? I spent over 6 hours getting ready for today. You see, I think it would be arrogant if I thought I could stand up and spit it out just because I did it yesterday or hundreds of times. That's arrogance. When you respond to life instead of react to it, react is negative. You get sick, go to the doctor. She gives you a prescription, says, see me tomorrow. You walk in the next day, she said, uh-oh, it's not working. We have to change the prescription. You get a little nervous. But as she smiled and said, hey, it's working. And so she's just responded, and you feel better because now you see some real hope in order to get ahead in life. I don't know how many of you remember or recognize the name Howard Hill. Now, Howard Hill was a good Alabama boy. He was an archer. They say he was the best in the whole world. He entered 287 archery tournaments. He placed first 287 times. He was so good, he retired early because the other archers started to get unwilling to compete for second place. I've seen newsreels of Howard Hill where from 50 feet away, he had split an arrow dead center in the bullseye. Then he would take the next arrow and split the first one. He killed a Cape buffalo with a bow and arrow, the most difficult game animal alive to bring down. He killed a Bengal tiger. He killed a 15-foot shark in under 18 feet of water. Or was it an 18-foot shark under 15 feet of water? Well, it was a great big one in his way down there. I do know that. He was a good one, there's no question. So now let me emphasize a point. I've never shot the bow and arrow professionally, but I'm an instructor extraordinaire. I'm not certain, but I think that's French, which means I'm really good at it. As a matter of fact, let me tell you just how good I am as a teacher. If I could spend 30 minutes with any man and woman who will ever view this, providing your eyesight is good and your health is normal, at the end of 30 minutes, I would have you hitting the bullseye more consistent than Howard Hill could hit it on the best day he ever had. Sound like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I could do it, provided, of course, you had first blindfolded Howard Hill and turn him around a couple of times so he wouldn't have a clue as, which way am I headed? And you might say, well, now, Ziegler, my goodness alive, fella, of course you could. That's ridiculous. How on earth could a person possibly hit a target he couldn't even see? It's a good question, but here's a better one. How can you hit a target you don't have?
Morning, Carlos. Your audio's off. Can't hear you. See if you can get your audio working. While you work on that, Carlos, I will talk a little bit about Zig Ziglar. I woke up in a Zig Ziglar mode this morning about finding a reason to be successful in what we do, and so I was feeling some Zig Ziglar, and this is one of the videos. Zig Ziglar's speech will leave you speechless. One of the most eye-opening speeches ever. So, of course, it was a collage of different videos, but some really good stuff, man. Always, whenever I listen to Zig Ziglar, I love it. And he left us off with this question: how can you hit a target you don't have, right? Which means first of all, we need to have a target. We need to have a goal, and we have to have something that we're trying to hit. And if we don't have a target, if we don't have a goal, of course, we'll never achieve anything. So can you talk? Can we hear you yet, Carlos? Not yet. I can't hear you, but it sounds like you can hear me. Maybe you log out and come back, pop back in, see if that works. But how can you hit a target you don't have? So it starts us off at the top. We've got a target, we've got an objective, and making sure that we're in a position to shoot for something, which puts us in a position to have success. Just by having a target, by having a goal, we're already probably 90% ahead of most people. There's a reason why there's a small percentage of people who are extremely successful. It starts off with having a target and having a goal. So a dream, Ziglar talked about a dream must have a foundation. That's the well thought out and the planned goal. So a foundation is what we're working towards, right? A foundation is what's going to get us to take that dream, that goal to a reality. It's the foundation. What are the steps of foundation? He talks about the steps of the foundation are, first of all, setting a goal. Carlos, can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was just talking about setting a goal and how a dream must have a foundation. And the foundation is the well thought out and planned goal that Ziglar was talking about. The foundation is action, right? Setting a goal. Why? What's the why behind the goal that we have, right? Understanding the why, determining how we're going to achieve it. Like what skills are required for me to achieve my goal? Who do I need to achieve that goal? What resources?
I knew when you played that, and I just caught the last little bit of it. I knew it was, hitting that. I remember that one. I've seen that video over and over. It's, hitting those targets. And
yeah.
And if you don't set the goals, if you don't see them and set them, what are you working for?
What are you working for? Yeah. Yeah. We leave out one of our most powerful senses, right? Which is the sight, and the fact that by seeing things and having something, it will drive us subconsciously, right? We leave out that if we don't even have a goal, because if we have a goal, then we have a plan, subconsciously we're going to move towards it, right? And so by not even having a goal and having a plan, but I love how he said a plan of action is the step-by-step plan. Set a date to achieve this goal, right? This is the foundation of achieving a goal. This is the foundation of a dream, is having a plan, right? But it starts with a goal. It starts with the goal. Ziglar's your guy, Carlos. What'd you like? I know this is your guy, so I know you love Zig Ziglar.
As you say that, I keep telling you guys, it's over and over that I've watched this guy since I was 18 years old. This is the guy that I didn't know anybody when I first got in sales. I got out of high school and all that fun stuff. Tried to go through college, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to do it. So I found this guy and I watched him. Just studied it, watched it, everything I possibly could. I went to his seminars. I did everything I possibly could to learn what he does. And it was setting that goals, and when I was 18 years old, I set a goal for when, and I even set goals in life too, because I set goals, I guess you would call them goals, but when I have kids, and then when I had kids, I knew, okay, they're going to be 18 and I'm going to be this age, and this is about the age that I'm supposed to be, and I set a goal back then for now.
Yeah.
And it's to get into real estate. It was to invest in real estate. It was to own companies and not necessarily work in them so much, but be able to have that freedom. Like if they go to college and they go to basketball games and they do things, I'm going to be able to have that time to not necessarily retire, but just to slow down,
Yeah.
and it's going to be my time to slow down and be able to do things with them, and then also set up for my retirement. This is my time where, real estate, I knew when I was 18 years old that I was going to invest in real estate to retire. I knew that I was going to have businesses going. I was going to, have that income, have that ability. And then I also knew that I was going to be, getting into real estate. Now, granted, it happened 3 years earlier than my goal.
Is that right?
Wow. Yeah. When I got into real estate, 3 years ago now, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and it happened, it happened 4 years earlier than what I expected. I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't know I was going to do it this way. I was going to, invest in real estate, buy properties, have rentals. I needed that cash flow. I needed that, I knew that people told me when I was 18 years old, when I got retirement age, there's going to be no Social Security for me. There's going to be no, unless you save a ton of money, the market's going to be different. I was told that. So I knew the only way that I could retire was to cash flow, retire, real estate,
Yeah.
So I set the goal and I'm doing it. Now I have to work hard to get it done.
It's interesting, Carlos, knowing you and knowing your journey. It's interesting how when you set that goal a long time ago, how life just moved things in your path to help you slowly and steadily achieve your goal. Just moved them in your path.
Things happened. Like I said, no matter if it happened 4 years earlier, this path of, hey, I got in the mortgage or whatever. I got into the mortgage business, and then I had this opportunity that somebody came up to me and says, hey, you do the mortgage business, you do this, you make this much in real estate, So, I mean, I don't care how it happened, but it all came to about, and it came at this age, the age that I'm supposed to be,
Yeah, no,
so
I know your story
in setting those goals.
It's fascinating to hear you say that. Like, I know a little bit of your story. I know a little bit of your recent journey, and it's fascinating to hear you say that was your goal. Because I didn't know when I was getting to know you and knowing your story, I didn't know that was your one of your goals that you had set a long time ago. And so I kind of know like how you got to where you are now, just from the last maybe 4 or 5 years, and it's fascinating to hear you say that was your goal. And so I know like the last couple of steps to get to this level, like I know those last steps, and they had nothing to do with like real estate. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you ran into a situation and met somebody and they got you in this space, and then you walked in there trying to do this and they got you in this space. And then next thing you're sitting in a real estate office. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it all came about. I don't care how it came, but it did. And it happened earlier. I thought about it. I talked to my wife, and I'm like, this is happening early. I knew that I wanted to, have rentals. I wanted that rental income, that cash flow. I knew that that's how I was going to retire. I knew at the age of 42, I was going to start trying to get into real estate and start investing and putting my money towards it, and putting my time towards it. And I knew that if I wanted to retire, I wanted to step away from my businesses to be able to do the real estate and be able to set myself up for later, because I still have a ton of time, you know what I mean? But I don't need to retire. I just wanted to not go as hard as I was and invest in real estate. And now I'm learning it. And it takes time. You got to learn it. You got to perfect it. You got to get good at it. There's a lot of tricks and trades. There's a lot of things to do with real estate.
One of the books that I read, in fact, it's on my little ottoman right now. One of the books that I also read is Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success, right? He talks about the subconscious mind, and you just described like a perfect example of what he talks about, that subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind is driven by goals, like the importance of setting the goal, because the subconscious mind will start pushing us in that direction towards that goal. The subconscious mind drives the conscious mind, right? We walk around with the conscious mind, but it is the subconscious mind that drives our consciousness, right? And it drives us, moves us to act, right? It moves us to act. And it's so funny because if you think about the very simple thing like a TV commercial, many years ago, the industry it was found, the research was found that they were targeting the subconscious mind. In fact, if you used to go to the drive-in theaters, remember the drive-ins? They'd show you these commercials and have little images of pizza, images of hot dogs that would pop up. That was feeding the subconscious mind. And people, of course, get up and go to the concession stand. So the advertisers know this, like they know that the subconscious is what they're really targeting, because that's going to drive our conscious mind, which will move us to action. So that goal is the first step to getting on autopilot to achieving things, because you were more receptive and open to certain things because you had a goal. You didn't necessarily know that particular opportunity with your guy. What's your guy's name? Your mentor. What was his name? The mentor guy that got you in the mortgage.
A.W. Pickle. Yeah.
You didn't know that was going to move you closer towards your goal of getting into real estate. You didn't even know that. That was, but your mind was receptive and open to the coaching and the direction and receiving it. And all along, the subconscious mind was probably pushing you, going, "This is going to get you where you need to go." Right. So it's fascinating.
And at that time, I'll tell you, at that time, none of real estate was in my mind. It was growing businesses. You know,
Yeah.
none of the real estate was not in my mind. You know, I dealt with a ton of real estate agents. I dealt with a bunch of real estate. I love it. You know, I love talking to them. I love, hearing it, but it was never in my mind, and then when I got this opportunity to do this mortgage, and it was like, okay, I'll dabble in it, and it wasn't something I really wanted to do. It was just being helpful. I was trying to help, but the biggest thing is that the opportunity came, and it came in front of me. And I thought about it, and I'm like, this is what I really wanted to do. This was on my goal. This is my goal.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it would just slap me in my face right there and say, hey, let's do this, and it did.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came, and it's just what I needed to do, and I think it was just, things happen I always say things happen for a reason, and I think it was just an opportunity for me to move forward, and I took it, and I'm learning it. It's not like I was sitting here, now I'm retiring. I knew I needed to learn. I wanted to learn real estate because I knew at this age, was my goal. But I said it at 18 years old. I tell people all the time, you got to set your goals. You got to set your targets. Yep. You have to set your targets. It's not I set my target when I was 18 years old for this age. Yeah. There's no doubt about, I did it for this age. I did it for when my kids graduated from high school. Yep. I knew what I was doing. I did all the way through too. I did weekly goals, daily goals. I did monthly goals. I did yearly goals. And then I also did my long-term goals, and I did it for this age, for my kids graduating, and it's just to set myself up for the future, so it's targets. If you don't have them and you don't see them, and, I have them all written down, what I mean? I have them sitting out, and I've held on to those things, I can still look at paper from when I was 18, 19 years old. It might be a little faded by now, but I still see it, Yeah. And I set those goals, and you got to have those targets. I believe this is where I learned this target, this guy right here.
Yeah, well, that's key. I mean, that's key. It's all about, how can you hit a target you don't have, and just by setting a goal, right? Finding a reason to be successful is what the title of today's podcast is like finding a reason. Let's find a reason, and follow up is a reason. Like there's a reason to follow up. And so just setting a goal, giving ourselves a target will automatically, subconsciously start pushing us on autopilot to start achieving it. But the first step is we got to set a goal. We got to find a reason. And so it's good stuff, man. And, I love the last piece that he mentioned, which is taking time to be quiet. Taking time to be quiet. There's so much activity going on. There's so many things we have to do. The importance of taking time to be quiet is probably the most understated thing that he said in that video. When I'm stressed, when the day gets away from me, the one thing that I've learned to do is step away and go sit down and maybe look out the door, look out the window, or go walk, right? Like he said, take a slow, long walk. It could be 10 minutes long, right? It doesn't need to be long, but just take some time to be quiet.
Take the time, relax, go, I mean, it's the time to, my time is I sit back and I relax and I sit there and I might just start talking about something else. I have to, you have to get out of what you're doing, and you have to have small conversations with somebody, or, sometimes my stress, if I get stressed out or I get too busy and things aren't going right, which these last 2 weeks for me have been real tough. A lot of my equipment has just been giving me grief, and, this morning, that's all I was working on was trying to repair my equipment to get it printing, and it's stressful, but, there's times where I just back off and I just call it quits. I say, hey, I'm done for the day. I'm going to spend it with my family that makes me happy, be silly or go to the lake or go watch a movie. Me, I love music and I love movies,
Yeah.
and, if it takes me going to sit at home with my family or my wife and say, hey, let's watch a show or let's watch a movie, that's my time to not think about what I was all hot-headed and stressed out about, and I just relax, and you got to take that quiet time, whatever it takes for you. Mine is turning up music and listening and enjoying and having fun.
Yeah. Well, and you said something good. You said something good. You said, sometimes you got to just step away, you got to, you got to just step away. And sometimes that's the important piece to understand that, I've given all I can give right now, and probably from a mental standpoint, I got to step away and come back and deal with this another time, a different hour, a different day. And sometimes that's where the success is in it by itself. Is just knowing that, I can't give any more mental capacity to this right now. Let me come back, Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's going to be there when you get back. You can't, if you get so frustrated and so, things happen in that, you working towards your target or you working towards your goals or you working towards things happen, and it might not be good. It might be bad, or you got to have good and bad when you're starting to strive for your goals and targets and your end result. And when you do, you just gotta take it easy. You got to back off of it, and it'll be there. You got to just get mind right and your mind fresh. Maybe, sometimes I go home and just go to bed. You know what I mean? One day I went home and I think it was 7, 8 o'clock. I went to bed and I slept till, 5 a.m., and it was good. And I was refreshed, relieved, came back in and stuff happened the right way.
Yeah. That's it. So, it's like live to fight another day. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just, sometimes I got to live to fight another day. And so, hey, we got to do what we got to do. And it's not defeat, right? What it is, it's giving us a better chance to approach the problem another day. So,
you're going to get defeated. You're going to get defeated on the way to your target. You set those goals and you're going to, and people call it, you're going to fail, You're going to get defeated. You're going to, and it's not necessarily when people say you have to fail in order to succeed, it's not necessarily you have to fail at what you're doing. It's just, you're failing at that thing right there. Maybe, my wife said the other day, a couple days ago, she says, I made 198 calls and I did not get anyone. I didn't get anyone, any success to moving forward. And let me tell you, she's texting me and she's frustrated. She's like, I've been on this phone. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I'm like, you'll get it, just back away from it, but she made 198 calls and didn't get anybody, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it happens. And she went 2 days with frustration, and then the next day she was like rocking it, you know what I mean? And it's just, you're going to go through some hiccups. You're going to fail. You're going to go through some hard blocks on the way to your goal.
Yep, absolutely. No, I agree. And that's good. Like, we should know that nothing's going to be easy, right? It's going to require some effort and it's okay. There's going to be some failures, like you said, and we just keep going. But that's where the plan comes into place, because that's where we identify the resources, like who can help me achieve this. Because when I run into that failure or that roadblock, I can go back to who can I count on to help me achieve this goal. and I can say, hey, I ran into this failure, this roadblock. How can I get around it, right? So that's why it's important to have a plan to identify the skills needed to achieve that goal and to identify who I need to help get that stuff done, right? That's why it's important, because that's the people we can fall back on to help us get past that point, that roadblock, if you will, So cool. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this up. We've got a lot of work to do today. It's Friday, and I got some following up to do. I've been on the follow-up trail, brother. I've been on. I told you last week I needed to get better at following up, and I needed to get better at my activity. It's February 11th, and I am not on pace to hit my goals. So I got to go back to the fundamentals, and that's what I've been doing the last 2 weeks. Is really going back to the fundamentals, time blocking, chopping on wood, and it's working. I already see a difference just in the number of leads that are coming in, the applications that are coming in. So it's working, and that's the good thing. Once we know we have a system that works, we can always go back to it, right?
That's right. Hey, one before we go, one success. Did you? I don't know. I wasn't on it last week because I had the photo booth. But did you talk about your success that you had? With the business card.
Oh no, I didn't talk about that. No, I did not. Thank you for reminding me that. So Carlos printed my cards, right? We talked years ago about the two-sided business card. I call it the purpose-driven business card, right? So I went to Panama City Beach, Florida, and spent the month down there in December. While I was down there, every place I went, as I normally do, I drop my business cards. In fact, I drop it like this.
No matter where you're at. You're in Florida,
gas station, Jamaican restaurant, Florida, South Carolina, doesn't matter. That month I don't know how many cards. I know I need more business cards because I don't have any more, but I dropped a lot of cards. I'm still getting calls. I took a snip of a text message I got from one of my guys who called me, and I sent it to Carlos. I'm still getting calls off of these business cards, which have been dropped at different places, coffee shops, gas stations, restaurants. I'm still getting calls. That was almost 3 months ago.
In a different state that you live in.
Yeah. I'm still getting calls. Right now, most of my stuff is Florida stuff. Most of my applications coming through with Florida stuff. That's not a coincidence. There's no coincidence.
No.
Funny.
And you're saying you need business cards, but I just printed you some.
I need to get them. All right, I need to go pick them up. Maybe I need to pick them up.
Yeah, your other agent has it.
Armin has them. Okay, all right, got it. All right, cool, good, because I need them. This is the last of my.
I was like, I just printed. I was like, you said that. I'm like, I just printed you some. There's no way that you went through 1,000 of those things.
Well, I should have by now. If I had them, I might have. But the other thing I got, Carlos, my other success story in the mail this week. I got a Franklin planner. I've had this planner, and I was rocking with. I had a planner. Look at this. I had some old fillings. What is that year? You see that year?
Yeah, it's 1995, baby.
I was rocking with some old.
I got somebody that was born there in this room.
Look what I was doing. Crossing out the date, changing the day. I was rocking with some old fillings. I got my new fillings came in. I'm back to 2022 updated Franklin, but I was using the old ones because I had some unused months, and I went back to my Franklin, and I was using old ones.
Wow!
I just got.
I didn't know they still made them.
They still make it. Franklin Company. They still make it. In fact, one of the hallmarks. Ziegler talked about silence, making time, right? One of the first things that I learned when I took the Franklin Planner seminar and training was to plan through silence, planning in solitude, right? And so if you look at each of these pages, at the top of each of my pages, you look at it, right? You can't see it. But the first thing, A1 priority, planning in solitude. Planning in solitude. Ziegler talks about taking some time for silence. That's a practice every morning, planning in solitude. And that's planning the day and taking some time for peace and quiet to get your day going right. So I'm back.
And that's and that's typically what I do that's my daily schedule. That's what I do every morning. I do that every single morning. But these last couple weeks,
you're in the office early, and everyone's like, man, Carlos is not. They don't know you're going through your routine of planning and solitude.
But the last 2 weeks I've been working, so I haven't had that time. So just like you, I haven't. That throws me off. Like I told my wife yesterday, I said, typically when I go in that office early in the morning, I'm working on financials and the book work and my goals and all that stuff. And I told her, I said, I started doing production at 6:30 in the morning just because the machines have been just giving us grief. And so I like yesterday, I didn't even check my email yesterday because I was just going, and so it was tough. It's been tough for me, and I have to get back on that. I got to. I absolutely have to do it because it so helps me every day.
Yeah, it does. It does. It gives us some clarity, some direction. But yeah, no, I'm back on the Franklin Planner. It's funny. I was using 1995 pages because I had some free fillings, and now I'm out, and the timing is right. So I got the new ones, and I'm excited. And I'm back organized, right? Back organized. I'm a guy that writes stuff down like you, right? I write stuff down, and I can leverage.
And I'm telling you, I'm old school. If it works, why and it's not broken, why fix it? Just do it.
Yep, agreed.
I love old school stuff. Yeah, I love doing it. I believe in it.
Yep, me too. All right, my man. I appreciate you, man. It's good chatting with you. 113 episodes of Follow-Up Friday today. 113.
Woo! 113 babies.
All right, Carlos. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.